I've got another wild one. Huntington Beach thinks it can just opt out of state law.
How do you know it's illegal if you can't cite the code?
I've looked at it. Trust me.
Trust
Okay.
me, bro.
That's a big ask.
Absolutely wild. Okay, so quick reference. This is Huntington Beach, just south of Los Angeles. The state's mandated that they allow for 13,000 new homes over the next 8 years, which is totally achievable. Okay, so they are 440 days late on filing a compliant housing element with the state where they're going to plan for that 13,000 new unit allocation. And because the city of Huntington Beach can't get their act together and come up with a compliant plan for those 13,000 units, they're now facing the builder's remedy, a state law that allows developers to come in and build housing by right because they're not doing what they're supposed to. Okay, so one of the city council members put an item on the agenda to instruct that the city attorney fight the state and also pass an ordinance proclaiming that the city is exempt from the builder's remedy, a state law that overrides local cities because they're a charter city. They don't have to follow state law. That's not how anything works. In fact, when the city attorney even asked the city council member to cite something, he wasn't able to. He just said, "Trust me, I've read it." Like, it really came down to "trust me, bro." He's a lawyer himself, and this city attorney is like, usually lawyers cite things when they make stuff like that. You can't make this up, watch.
Members, we're on item number 33. It's been submitted by Councilmember McKeon. Councilmember McKeon, you have the floor.
All right, the big one. So this is fulfilling the last pillar of our contract with the Huntington Beach voters. And that's to unleash Michael Gates to push back against the state mandates.
The NIMBY's clapping.
So this should have been done from the beginning, to authorize our city attorney to challenge these state mandates that violate our local controls as a charter city. These 13,368 mandated units is outrageous. It's not realistic. The California State Auditor found that the methodology used to derive these numbers is flawed.
Okay, so the auditor did find that it was flawed. They found that the numbers were too low, not too high. So I don't know what his argument is there.
How can we have a housing crisis in HB when, according to the U.S. Census, California Department of Finance, and SCAG data, all show our population is declining? If we have a housing crisis...
How could we have a housing crisis if we're losing people in California? Because we're still 2 million homes in the hole?
HCD and SCAG need to prove it, and it has to be adjudicated. This, to me, is one of the biggest threats facing our city. We have to fight this with every fiber of our being. We all committed to that.
I would like to second that motion. State wants to urbanize Huntington Beach. They're coming down with these mandates. And if you've heard anything coming from the voters and from the citizens of the city, is that they want us to fight. They want us to fight as much as we can to protect our suburban coastal community. If you want to live in an urban area, you could have gone to San Francisco. You could go move to LA. We will fight from the very fiber of our body to preserve this coastal suburban community. And so with that, I second that motion. Councilmember Burns.
Grandstanding. People need homes, dude.
I agree. State overreach can't be tolerated.
State overreach.
It's been long overdue. The community has been asking for this for a long time, and it's time we just get down to work, so.
So I have a couple of questions. So on the recommended item, it's super vague. It says take whatever legal actions required. Maybe can kind of give me an idea of what that actually is?
Well,
That could include seceding from, applying for statehood like San Bernardino wants to, right? Like,
yeah, that's a good idea.
Seceding to create their own state.
I don't understand how we can pass an ordinance in direct opposition to state law, the builder's remedy, making that illegal. I think that Yimby's guy that called in and said maybe passing a resolution would make more sense to say we don't want it, but I think that the second piece of the...
So, I mean, the way our zoning code's written already, based on interpretation, builder's remedies are already illegal.
It is?
Under our ordinance, and so that's where the
your
rub
ordinance
is, right? Our
overrides
local
state
control
law.
versus state mandates, or state law, on the same issue. And the way I understand the proposal is it's just a separate, discrete ordinance that makes it more express and more clear the city's not going to tolerate builder's remedy. But
So-
builder's
It's
remedy
not gonna
technically is
tolerate it.
already
House.
They don't have a
conflict
choice.
law. I can't I wouldn't get into it
Sure.
anyway.
I mean, that's a little hand wavy on, like, it's illegal.
little
but, like,
hand wavy.
how do you know it's illegal if you can't cite the code?
I've looked at it, trust me.
Trust
Okay.
me, bro.
That's a big ask.
Trust me, bro.
Most attorneys don't say trust me, they cite code and verse, so I'm thinking.
One of the things that's consistently said, I believe, is that there's sufficient housing when it's mentioned that the population is decreased, or I've also heard, maybe
There's
not tonight,
sufficient
but in the
housing.
past, actually at a recent briefing with everyone, that people are fleeing the state of California. And my question to
God.
staff, if we have someone there, is what is our current vacancy rate approximately in the city of Huntington Beach?
I don't know that information tonight, but I can look it up and report back later.
Well, if you
appreciate
report that
that.
back, please also report back how many jobs have left the state of California over regulation here in this state and moving. Oh, and by the way, I do
MAGA.
believe there is a census that's done every
MAGA.
10 years.
Two things, I guess. One is I was recently told by staff that there is about a 1 to 2% vacancy rate. So I think that's important. That's in Huntington Beach, not the state of California. While I appreciate the mayor's commentary on the state, and I welcome all of that, I think what's most important is what's happening here in Huntington Beach. So I'd welcome that vacancy rate and anything pertinent to Huntington Beach. Thank you.
So we have to build homes for people outside of Huntington Beach is kind of the goal. Or if I hear that correctly.
Oh my God.
But anyways, this has been moved. It's been seconded. Please, clerk, call the roll.
Okay. Councilmember Kalmick?
No.
Councilmember Mosier?
No.
Mayor Pro Tem Vandermark?
Yes.
Mayor Strickland? Aye. Councilmember McKeon?
Yes.
Councilmember Bolton?
No.
Councilmember Burns?
Aye.
The motion passes 4-3.